No, I showed you that hat, and
I knew when I first saw that scroll, I was like, that's a battalion scroll.
well, a lot of people. One person gave me a bunch of shit about it, and I was going to go back, and I was going to go back on historical use of the English scroll.
Yeah, yeah. You
And
told me about this yesterday. Uh
I
huh.
stopped. I seriously stopped myself because I was like, obviously, if somebody's making that comment, they're not apt enough to understand the full understanding of the English scroll.
Somebody's just, I don't know, man. I just think it's stupid. Why get all wrapped around the axle and something like that? I mean,
Yeah.
really?
Well, and the people that complain usually about that stuff, they're not even.
Yeah, they're probably headquarters guys.
It was a TAC-P.
He wasn't even a ranger.
Right?
He
Yeah,
was a
probably not. He's
TAC-P.
probably a school ranger, man. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna text that recruiter. I'm gonna try and find out that dude. You guys might know that guy that I was talking about yesterday when I was over at Biloxi, and
Mhm.
see if find out what his name is.
Oh, by the way, Searfoss Krieger is fucking coming to town. He's here today.
I don't want him on a podcast.
we're gonna hang out, man.
Oh, y'all guys can hang out. I don't want him on a podcast.
Why not?
He's not important enough.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on, shit. We're sitting with Dan Rhymes. Why do we want Matt Krieger on here?
All right.
Well, how do you compete? What are you saying that from now on we can only get better people than Dan Rhymes?
There you go,
We're
man.
not going to be able to top him.
No,
Well, that was the thing is like
I'm just a selection guru, man. Been there, done that. Check that block in the selection category.
homie, when I told people that I was going to have somebody who was ex-Ranger, go Special Forces, transfer blue to combat control, everyone's like, are you fucking real? Really?
Man, there's a couple of us, man. I can tell you, a good friend of mine, Gavin Burns. He was Force Recon. Then he went 20th Group, and then crossed over as a PJ. I'm trying to think of the name of the book that he's in, but he's Scottish. I mean, just a big burly dude, and he's just a big old teddy bear. Awesome.
Obviously, redhead too.
Yep. Uh-huh. Good dude, man. I think the book is Today is Not a Good Day to Die, something like that. You guys, I'm sure you've seen it.
I've heard that book before.
Yeah, his photos in there. But yeah, Today is Not a Good Day to Die or some shit like that. Yeah, he was in that initial wave of Afghanistan when it first kicked off. Dude's awesome. He lives here in Fort Walton Beach. We talked about him last night. Good stuff. There are guys out there that have done some phenomenal things. A lot of training. A lot of them seen a lot of combat. Guy over there at Keesler yesterday got a Purple Heart. James Sparks. I met him before. Instructor over there at Keesler. Didn't even know he was getting a Purple Heart. So, it's like our circle of friends, man. A lot of heroes out there. Ish Viegas, Sean Harvell. You just keep spinning off the names. Ivan Ruiz. Your guys, DeLorean Sheridan, which I did not know is now a combat controller. I just got wind of that, or I saw it somewhere. I didn't realize that he had crossed over or whatever. But true heroes, I like to always say that I'm no hero. I've just walked alongside of them. I've hung out with them and all that good stuff.
Whatever. So this is going to be something weird to edit. So let's try and get back on the other conversation we were having because I thought it was cool. But then what I want to do, Dan, is you and I had a personal talk yesterday about a certain individual.
Right.
And I do want to hear your thoughts on that. And I want it to be known that this is like a very big issue because we have how many Medal of Honor recipients inside the Air Force?
Oh, you're talking about John Chapman?
Yes.
Okay, so my take on and what I've heard and what I've read, I'm not really sure, but you never leave a fallen comrade fall into the hands of the enemy. You guys, you've heard the Ranger Creed before. It's just you just don't do it. And then when you get to Secret Squirrel, JSOC, Dev Group, Delta, whoever, and they claim dude was down and bailed on him. I just don't see it, man. Regardless of what, I think John Chapman made the ultimate sacrifice, and I think he should be rewarded for what he's done. I don't know if the Air Force is backing him up on that. I mean, higher echelons. I know that it's a big point of contention in the combat control community. There is a point to being a silent professional, but at the same time, we're trying to get recruits to understand what combat control and TACP do and what they bring to the fight. So, and how important we are now since 9/11 to me. I mean, the tip of the spear kind of deal. You guys know them, I know them, and the great things that they've done. I think he's deserving of the Medal of Honor. I hope that that recognition comes to fruition, but only time will tell. Hopefully Memorial Day will reinvigorate that point. I mean, they're in talks, and what I've seen on the Facebook page for Combat Control is that there is a company taking up the story, and his wife is helping out with the storyline for John Chapman. So we're looking at probably seeing a movie, hopefully this time next year, about Tucker Gar. Had a lot of friends there. Gabe Brown, the controller that was, there on. He was part of the quick reaction force after all that went down, and then they had the extended firefight on top of that mountaintop.
Yep, we had Kevin Vance out there.
Yep.
At the same time. So there were two controllers running that massacre, more or less.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they were sitting ducks. I know Gabe and how he explained it, that he was calling airstrikes off the nose of the aircraft because that's where the smoke was coming off of. And that was how he was kind of vectoring in the aircraft. You see my smoke, that's friendlies, call to partying, cleared hot, whatever, So that's kind of how it went down. And that was one of the first major firefights that they had, and so we'll see how this thing pulls out. And I went up to STTS because he's the commander there now, but he was on leave. Too bad, but I'll get to go see him. I want to know what his take is on this, and how he feels about it. As I was still in the pipeline when Tucker Gar happened, and he and the team that was on that mission came back to Hurlburt like 2 days later, and we got to sit in at the 2-3 and listen to his brief. And man, he was highly emotional. I'll never forget that, man. Never.
Well, and he lost. That's what's another phenomenon.
He was right there when Jason Cunningham took it right in the gut.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, a lot of this stuff is a lot of people don't understand. Like us on the Air Force side of the house here, until we were actually put into use. We didn't lose that many men.
Right.
We didn't, and in the years following 9/11, we lost TACPs, controllers, pararescue.
Yep.
The communities took a fucking massive hit because of OEF and OIF.
Right.
And a lot of people don't get that. That's
No.
why when I was down at Lackland last time, and they had the Wall of Heroes.
Yeah, let me cut into that real quick. I had a dude that was super strong, and I didn't think I was going to have any problems with him. He was prior service. I mean, he was in my program for over a year. As he explains it, he was walking to that classroom to start CCSC, and the wall of the Hall of Heroes and he saw all the deaths, and that's what made him quit, man. And I was like, a year of training, dude, and I told you, you're gonna see this, and you're gonna, he reassured me that this was his calling. He, just I just couldn't believe it, man. He gave me a call, and I knew the commander down there. He asked me about him. I said, he's a good dude, but I just didn't expect it. And his excuse was when he walked through the Hall of Heroes, it was like a reality check. He's got kids and he's got a wife, and he tapped out, man. It's just
That's like when I left the schoolhouse. I wanted to intentionally so when I left Fort Drum, I'll backdate that a little bit. I had a shot to go work with 10th Group or go be an instructor at the TACP schoolhouse.
right.
Unfortunately, the Air Force made that choice for me. But
I'm told, man.
But by the time I was leaving the schoolhouse, I had met my now wife, and we had had our daughter, and priorities had changed.
Absolutely, as they always do,
My final deployment, I almost had one of my teams get ambushed in an L ambush against insurgents.
Right.
And for me, that actually hit me pretty hard because all I could do is watch it from the video feed.
Yeah.
And tell the guys by radio, this is what's going on. Fucking I don't give a fuck. Nobody's responded that this is an enemy insurgent. Nobody has said that this is ANA. I didn't care. I was like, under ROE, for self-defense, engage that target.
Right.
And the write-up I ended up doing for those guys, they ended up both getting like combat action medals and stuff like that. But it was a reality to me, like, okay, this used to be you dumbass.
Right. Yeah.
And so my priorities started to shift. So
yeah,
I can feel that.
they definitely shift. It's just that this guy, he said he had been training since 2010. And he was up in Alaska in Anchorage in the guard unit, and he used to train with the PJs up there. And I mean, he kept telling me over and over again that this was his calling. I mean, he physically he was there. It took a while, but physically he was there. I didn't expect it. I got blindsided with this one, man. It's just crazy. I don't know what he's doing now. I don't know what job they gave him, but
well, hey, at least you got blindsided, and we weren't trying to change the life for one individual that was well beyond her means of making.
Right. Yep, I agree.
The old training was fun, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all fun, man. It's you go through these things and you just got to make fun of the whole deal. Everybody else is sucking just as bad as you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, that dude's name, Senior Airman Nicholas Orozco. You ever hear of him? Orozco? He's 17th SOS, and he's going to first bat.
If he's a senior airman now,
Yeah.
he probably came in after I left.
Right. I think he said he was 6 years in so far.
Oh, yeah, I've been out since 09.
Okay, yeah.
Wow, 6 years, still a senior airman?
Well, I think it's because it's guard, brother,
Yeah.
Maybe that's, now that he's because, when I left the Army, I was a staff sergeant. I was E6, so they wanted to bust me down to senior airman. I got a hold of my congressman, and I was like, no, dude, come on now. And
trust me, I get it. When I left active duty, I was supposed to test for tech.
Yeah.
I left. I denied the testing.
Yeah.
Once I got into the guard, I sat my board, and they said they were going to promote me, but then I was injured.
Yeah.
And
it's always something, right?
They removed my promotion because I was injured and couldn't maintain my currencies.
Yeah, see, that's stupid, dude. I can probably vouch for this for all three of us. It was never about promotions, really. It was about serving, seeing how far we could actually take ourselves. It was a personal challenge. It wraps all the way around to that personal challenge to find what kind of caliber dude you are. It's kind of where it comes from for me.
Well, the thing is, like, a lot of people would give me shit because I would make a stance, and I was actually pretty good at it. I think I was a really good asshole.
I bet you were.
But
You still are. You haven't changed.
But if it wasn't right for my guys,
yeah,
it wasn't right.
Yeah.
And I would make
you were there for the dudes, man.
It had nothing to do with me. If I didn't get promoted, that's fine.
Right.
That's fine. I was always good with that shit.
We talked about that in the very first podcast, the leadership one, and I think that was lost on most of the people that we worked with. They just didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
They were there for the promotions and the medals and looking cool. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, man. I just don't think that this career field's all about that. It's just taking care of one another. I got a guy that's currently in the pipeline, 6 tours, Ranger Bat, crossed over to combat control, taking a huge gamble because I think he was being groomed for sergeant major in the Army. And I told him when he becomes a team sergeant that he needs to protect his team because he's really the only protector there is. They're going to fuck up. And, he's just one of those guys. Got it. Go take a piss.
Yeah, I think he's going to be in a good position though to be able to stand up for his dudes because he's got a lot of experience.
Absolutely, man. And I remember the day that I met him. I was actually at the recruiting office, and he walked in, and he's all sleeved out, and I go, we were talking about the kind of guy that we're looking for this career field. And he walks in, and as he walks in, I look over at him. I go, that's the kind of dude that I'm looking for. And I didn't even know anything about him, And it comes out that, he was in Ranger Battalion, 6 tours, did quite a few of them with combat control, and now he's in it, man. So,
man.
He's a testament. He's a good dude too, man. I enjoy. He doesn't start his combat control school selection until I think July because they don't have enough numbers just yet. But he's hanging out at STTS and getting ready to get it on. But when it comes to that leadership, and he fully understands that. I was like, the only people that are going to protect those airmen underneath him is the team sergeant.
For sure. And we had that issue. So when we go through TAC-P school, because we work with the Army so much, we're like right there next to them. They teach us from like day one, like you're going to have to be an E3 and you're going to have to tell an 06 no. You got to have the balls to be able to say, sorry, sir, but we can't do that. Not let them push you around.
Right.
We got that instilled in us. I mean, some people still had a problem with it, but what sucks is when we get ALOs, it's better now because we have 13 Limas, but we would get ALOs who.
Well, wait a second. Hold on.
The best ALOs we had were the fighter pilots because they had an attitude.
They always do, man. That's why we love A-10s, right?
Yeah, man. The A-10 drivers and F-16s, but we would get some people that were like on a crew of B1s or a B-15.
Hey, here's the thing on that too is
they were just shit. They were shit. Dude.
One of the best ALOs I ever had was Captain Winslow.
Well, what did he fly?
He was a B2 guy.
Yeah, I got some friends that are B1, B-52 guys, stratosphere guys. And it's crazy that they just fly over there, they drop their ordnance, and they come on back.
Yeah. It's like an 8-hour trip.
If you've never done an airstrike with one of those aircrafts, I'm sorry, you're missing the fuck out.
I did one out at Dogbone Lake. It's north of Nellis. Y'all have been out there?
Yeah.
Screech, or Creech or whatever the fuck
Creech.
it's called today. You know, they had to close down the name because it was offensive to the Indians.
Well, they still have Creech, but it runs the Reaper section now.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, I got to do B1s, B-52, A-10s. What else was out there? 16s, 15s. Man, you can blow all kinds of shit up out there, man.
Dude, I remember when we were in the Korengal Valley and in the Restlawn Valley, I was actually challenged by the ground commander. He's like, I don't think you can empty a B-52.
Challenge
was accepted. I emptied the B-52 on a ridge line.
You got a pretty good story. I thought you told me there's a picture of one of the dudes that you pinned, and the round didn't go off; it just went through him, and he's pinned up against the mountain wall. I'm dying to see that photo, man. I want to see that shit. Haji with a fucking big old round right through his.
That was actually that was from one of my AC-130 strikes.
Yeah, that would be badass.
It impacted beside him. Yeah,
I would love to see that photo, man.
I found him the other day.
Oh, send it. I want to see it. Yeah. Body pinned up against a mountainside with a big old 500-pounder through him or some shit. What
it
was
was
it? What?
It was a 105 round.
AC-130, yeah.
Damn, howitzer round.
Yeah.
God.
One thing is I've been lucky enough to be able to control and do plenty in my time, but most of it was in two different battles.
Right.
Operation Mountain Lion and Operation Mountain Thrust for the battle for the Korengal. And a lot of people, honestly, quite a few of the JTACs that served in that valley, they're no longer in because it's not conducive to their modern mental state.
That's what I figured. Yeah, I mean, you're lucky to be where you're at, man.
And
I always do say, be careful what you wish for, right?
Well, in a good friend of mine, Jason Cry, another TACP controller, when I first got into Afghanistan in 06 with him, I was like, I can't wait to do my first. This was my first rotation as an actual JTAC and not a ROMAD. And it turned into that very same situation, careful what you wish for.
Yeah. I mean, people always say that they want to get that, get that under their belt. Well, sometimes it's a little bit too heavy now, isn't it, man? We all have friends that they can't get rid of those demons.
True. And I mean, it is a day-to-day situation for things like that, but we do what we have to do because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
End of story. I mean, in the end game, it's them or us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know about you guys. I think Dr. Dre said it best. I like breathing.
There you go, man. Yeah, it's a natural thing. O2 is free, man. Please let me have it.
Yeah.
You guys were really, really busy on that deployment. Not just you, but everybody that went at the same time as you, because we replaced you. Like, we did our handoff with your group, and we got there, and we knew all the shit you guys were doing, and it was all busy. Everybody was busy. And then I got to where we replaced Mondo, and he had been the busiest person. He dropped more bombs than everybody else. And that's what they were. He said, he told us during the handoff.
Hey, he still dropped bombs, man.
Super
he still
busy.
was killing people.
He was killing people, but he didn't clear 350,000 pounds of ordnance.
Yeah,
well, either way, man.
Ordnance, man.
When we replaced you guys, everything died down. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, where's all this action that everyone was getting?
That's because we like to pick fights.
Even Blair, dude, that deployment, even Blair got more air than we did.
Yeah,
replacing Mondo's group.
That's it. What was funny is I was working with the 10th Mountain Division and the 3rd Marine Division at the same time, on that rotation in the Korengal Valley. And what was cool about it is the gunny comes up to me. He's like, I have never seen somebody try and pick a fight so hard. I was like, what are you talking about, gunny? He's like, dude, it's awesome that you have all this air and you do the show of forces over the fob. This says, go ahead, fuckers, come and get us. And
oh, man.
I started doing that because our first night hitting Camp Blessing, you know where that is, right, Dan?
Yeah.
So the first night we hit Camp Blessing, we got hit so fucking hard that it was like, what the hell is going on here? And I'm actually out there in a pair of Ranger panties and a fucking Kevlar vest controlling air.
Nice. Well, at least you had a cool breeze between your legs.
That's it. Well, I remember, dude, that same deployment, I was with Bell, and we were looking for fights too, man. At night, we would pull out the green beam instead of the ISLID.
Hey.
And everyone would be freaked out because
I'm still on my telecon, but
and we were like,
how'd it go?
No, they know where we are.
Yeah.
So we did the green beam as kind of like a show of force. We just pointed around where we thought people were.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I mean, it was a very defining moment for a lot of people. Myself as well, it changed a lot of my perspective on life. I'm still the same asshole I ever was. That doesn't mean anything, but it did still change some perspectives.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think my second deployment was the funnest one that I went on. You know, just, I don't know. It was different than the other two.
I figured that's good. Well, let me go, and I'll talk with you when you get home.
He didn't even mute his microphone.
Okay. Wife just did an interview with Endine, and it sounds like it went pretty good.
We heard everything.
Did you? Yeah. I had to answer it. You know.
No, we could actually hear your phone. We could hear her.
Oh, could you? Could you hear her?
Yes.
Nice.
So, hey, tell her she gets to be on the podcast now, too.
Yeah, well, she's coming from Crestview, so it's going to be a little while.
Yeah. But, no, so let's get back on, because this is more about having you on this than talking about war stories and silly shit with us.
Well, I mean, it boils down to all three of us, man. We've all been through some serious selections. The mental mindset, you know, I know, Jerry, you know, you said that, and I've said 80% mental. Of course, you got to be physically strong. You got to be coordinated. You got to be the total package. And, you know, not just be strong in one event. You got to be the total body, right? It's what I kind of guide the guys. Like, yeah, you may be strong here. It's like a guy said yesterday. He goes, man, that dude's running like awesome. He's running at a killer clip. And I said, well, he may be a great runner, but let's have him do the pass test and see how he does. You know, because it really does kind of weed people to find out how good they are across the board. And you know, the initial pass test, and you guys know this as well as I do. Really, it should be a sprint. If you can't do it as a sprint and be smiling about it or puking about it and still smiling about it, then really that's kind of in that mentality that we're kind of looking for. I mean, dude, never fucking quit, dude. I mean, come on now, man up. This is what you want to do, right?
In all honesty, if I had somebody I was giving a pass test to, or I was doing a selection for in the guard,
yeah.
If they weren't on the side puking at some point in fucking time,
right?
According to me, they didn't put out enough.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's one of the things that I use I use that as a gauge. Like, if you've never worked out until you puked, you don't know how you've never pushed yourself.
Exactly.
Or if you never missed a meal, like some people haven't missed a single meal in their life. And I'm like, dude,
they don't know, man.
You have no idea.
You know, it's a great thing that you say, Dan, because, you know, I tell the guys all the time, I'm like, dude, you know, I always expected best from me. So I'd get myself worked up. Sometimes I wouldn't sleep the night before I knew I was having a test, you know, that weekly test that, you know, you have to pass. I'd get myself so worked up that before the test, I'm puking. During the test, I'm fucking puking. After the test, I'm puking. But, it never stopped me. They always called me Chain Reaction Dan. I got everybody fucking puking.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, in all honesty, that's it. If you've never pushed yourself to the limits to where your body is
convulsing
getting everything
right
inside of it,
convulsing, man,
you just haven't trained hard enough.
Right. I mean, it's not healthy, but it's just it's that drive, man. And I think that's what separates a lot of us from the rest of the guys. They just don't realize how hard they need to push, or how to train hard. It didn't matter, man. I could train and I could be completely prepared. It still didn't matter. I still get that anxiety, and then that amp getting ready to just tackle whatever it was.
It's like taking any fucking test. Yeah. If you didn't have anxiety before you took the test,
right,
there's a problem.
Yeah. That's like a dude in combat. If that dude is relaxed, we got a problem.
Yes.
we got a problem.
There's a serious issue if somebody is relaxed in combat.
Right. I mean, he's seen way too much. He just don't give a fuck no more. And that means he don't give a fuck about you. So
yeah, or he just checked out, man. He doesn't.
Yeah, there you go. Checked out. Yeah, he's not there anymore.
So, Dan, one thing I want to ask you to close this off, because we only have a couple more minutes on this. Right. I have a feeling Dan, you're gonna have to put this up as a 2-part, because this has been way too much fun.
This is good shit, man.
But so one thing that I have a question for you on a serious matter. Looking at what TACPs do, we now have the soft TACP community as well.
Right.
In combat control, putting them together. What is it? What differentiates between a combat controller and a TACP in your mindset?
In my mindset, you guys aren't doing surveys, you motherfuckers.
Well, that's one thing I used to tell candidates all the time. Our primary job is close air support.
I understand that, some guys aren't made for the water, and that's fine with me, man, but yeah, you're a sinker. I know you are.
You watched me swim.
Absolutely. You didn't go anywhere except drown. That was some funny fucking shit. But we used to think, at least from what I remember when I first started, that, TACP was totally different from combat control. And, I'll say this cautiously, but I don't think there's much of a difference anymore, man. It's just that, one's got Halo and the other one's got Scuba. And, I mean, you guys are doing, as far as I can see, you guys are doing just as much as we are. It's just that you're more embedded with the Army than anything. You are Air Force, and you're living, on an Army base? That's kind of how it's changed.
Yeah, I know. We're the bastard children of the Air Force.
Unfortunately, we live on Army base.
Yeah, I've lived the Army lifestyle. I know what the deal is, and it's better you than me now. I don't know part of that. But, like I said, going back to it, Army is what started everything, man. And it made me who I am today. I'm proud of that background, man. I'm proud of all this. I'm proud of you guys. I think we all have a passion and want to see the next generation do good things and be prepared. And that's why we're talking about this. When I joined, and we only have 5 minutes left here. When I joined, I don't think it was a popular decision. Nobody knew anything about Special Forces. Like I said, I went in for a SEAL contract. Nobody even knew what the hell. They just knew it was a fucking nightmare. Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to be?
You want to do this to yourself?
Absolutely, man. But why don't you want to go work in a hospital with a bunch of women and hanging out and get your degree through the military? I always say this, man, one of my all-time favorite flicks, and it was inspiring to me. It's not so inspiring to a lot of people, but for me, Platoon to this day, one of my all-time favorite movies. And, you know, that's kind of what pushed me, man. I loved that movie so much that's what I wanted to do. And that was just basic infantry. I wasn't even looking at special forces. I mean, it just inspired me to want to be out there doing the deal.
Well, Black Hawk Down was the whole reason I went and talked to a recruiter, man. I watched it and I was like, what the fuck am I doing with my life, man?
Right. No, I can completely, I was in battalion at the time when that was going on. And, we were rushed out of Fort Stewart to go support 3rd Ranger Battalion. We're getting ready to get on the birds and get over there to Somalia, and then they called it out because the dude was getting drugged down the streets, and then the Mogadishu Mile had just got completed. So they didn't need our support anymore. I will say this about Ranger Battalion. They are not a peacekeeping unit. I mean, they're going over there to do peacekeeping. If you ever hear that about Ranger Battalion, you already know no way, dude.
The whole mission set for the Rangers completely changed after Mogadishu.
It did, man. They're there to fuck you up. And, we were doing CQB out there at Fort Stewart one day, and I think a SEAL rolled up. He goes, the difference between you guys and us is, as you go through the door, all I hear is everything just all hell in a handbasket. And when we go through the door, it's all surgical, Excellent, rounds on target. Well, we just fucking go in there and spray, man. I'm going in there with a M249 and just laying waste in a room. It's fucking crazy, dude, Det cord on the door, and then you got the Remington 870 blowing the doorknob off or blowing the door completely in. Yeah. Good shit.
No. I think what we can all agree on, actually, is we are very specialized, and we are all very when it comes to the AVSOC community or Air Force Special Operations on any side, we are very specialized in what we do, and we are all damn good at it.
Well,
we're damn good at it. We're old now.
Yeah.
Hey, but 4 months, and I'll be
I did the
50.
quick math. You're 10 years older than me, homeboy.
I know, man. 4 months, I'll be 50 years old, brother.
Have you been to Kandahar?
I have not. I was getting ready to go to Afghanistan, and I ended up doing a rotation at Stuttgart with 10th Group, and I think it was SEAL Team 1, and I was there for 3 months.
Oh, man, when I went there, my first deployment, I remember every building in the whole place has just bullet holes everywhere.
Yeah, I bet.
And I remember saying, like, dude, what the fuck happened here? And everyone was like, oh, that was the Rangers. No, just every building is full of bullet holes, man.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we got less than a minute. I guess we're getting ready to sign out, huh?
Yeah. So, hey, you know what, Dan? I mean, this has been great catching up with you.
Absolutely, man.
Yesterday on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just put out a lot of real good information for any of these people who listen to this. And honestly, I couldn't be happier to have you on here as
well, both of y'all are, brothers in arms and buddies, man. We're buds till the day we die, right?
Yeah.
Word.
Never fucking quit.
There you go. I want one of those, and I want that JTAG shirt too, and some bikinis.
You'll get them all.
That bikini's for me, man.
Now, challenge accepted. I need a picture.
Yeah.
But no, we'll sign off of this, and dude, Dan, again, thanks very much for agreeing to do this with us. I mean,
let me know how it turns out, man, and I'd love to see it and rehear it and rehash because this was all from the cuff, dude.